Healthy living with Intermountain Healthcare.
Mother's Day is this weekend, which makes now a better time than ever to remind yourself and the women in your life to get an annual screening mammogram. Today we're here with Dr. Alice Chung, breast surgeon from Riverton Hospital, and thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So why is it that the standard age for most women to start receiving mammograms is 40?
So as many women might know, there is controversy about that. The age has really ranged from, people saying you should start at 40 or 45 or 50. My recommendation is to start at the age of 40. I feel like when you start screening at the age of 40, first of all, you usually get a normal baseline mammogram that can be compared against future mammograms if there's a change. And then also it allows for more time to, detect something that may not be detected or may be detected at a later stage later on in life.
We're looking at some video right now of what the process looks like, and what can you expect if you've never had a mammogram? What happens when you go to that appointment?
So when you go to the appointment, they'll have you, change into a gown. They'll then bring you into the mammogram suite, and they basically try to pull out all the breast tissue into this machine. And yes, your boob basically gets squished.
Does it hurt a little bit?
Some women do find it uncomfortable. Definitely, what we want to do is compress all of the breast tissue so that we can look at all of the tissue. And so they compress it, both sort of in an up and down direction, and then also in sort of a sideways direction as well to get all of those views.
But I see what you're saying about having sort of a baseline so that in the future, if something does change, then doctors know sort of what to compare it to. And that makes total sense. We should mention, a lot of the time while you're screening yourself, before that age of 40, sometimes you'll find lumps but don't necessarily equate to breast cancer.
Right, and the majority of lumps that women find are not breast cancer. There are a lot of benign lumps that aren't cancer, it's just benign growths. Sometimes they can be painful. I would say the most common one that I see, especially in women under 40, is something called a fibroadenoma, and that's just a benign tumor. Sometimes they're painful, sometimes they can grow, and in those cases I see these women and I take them out.
Yeah, and you can remove those as well. Also, you said just with the regular menstrual cycle, sometimes there can be lumps within the breast, and those tend to go away usually, is that right?
They do tend to go away, or they'll get a little larger around the time of your period and then go away. And that's why, if you're examining your breast with regularity, you usually try to do it at the same time of the menstrual cycle, so there's some consistency.
Yeah, that's definitely a great tip. Let's talk about some of the warning signs. If you do notice something while you're screening yourself during these months to months, and all the things that you can be doing, let's talk about the warning signs. And number one, obviously, is a lump or not. So that's pretty self-explanatory.
So yeah, so if you're feeling your breast and there's an area that feels a little bit different from the rest of your breast, it's always something that you want to keep track of. Absolutely.
Number two, a change in the size or shape of the breast.
Yeah, so that would be, if there's some, basically one breast all of a sudden seems to be smaller than the other or larger than the other, that might mean that there's a mass that's, bringing in the tissues or making the breast larger.
Okay, when you say number three, the dimpling or puckering of the skin, what do you mean by that? What will it look like?
Sure. So I think the easiest way to look for this is just to stand up in front of a mirror and look at your breasts in the mirror. And because the breast has these ligaments inside of it that sort of suspend the breast, and if there's a cancer in there, they can sort of pull on those little ligaments that sort of connect your breast to the skin, and so you can see the skin sort of tuck in a little bit, or the normal round contour just change a little bit.
Yeah, that's one I haven't heard about, so I'm glad you point that out. Also, there could be any sort of itching or scaling on the skin, pulling of the nipple or different parts of the breast, and then discharge also.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, at some point of life, if a woman's breastfeeding, there will be normal drainage milk for the baby. But in other circumstances, when a woman's not lactating, or if the drainage is sort of different color, like a reddish rust color or something like that, that's something that should be cause for concern.
And the bottom line is all of these are important to watch out for, but a mammogram is going to detect any problems before a lot of the time you even start seeing them.
Exactly.
So that's why it is so important to schedule that mammogram as soon as you're ready to do that, or for sure if you are the age of 40. And to do that, all the information's right there on your screen. You can call 801-507-7840 and just visit the website. Of course, we'll link you there at goodforyoutud.com/GTU. Dr. Chung, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Such
Thank you for having me.
Important information. And speaking of motherhood and important women in all of our lives, coming up next, Bri, we're making a perfect drink for Mother's Day.